Am I the butthole for telling my brother the reality of getting married young? I'll keep it short. My brother is 19, as is his girlfriend. The two are currently engaged. She wants a quick wedding and he asked me for advice. I, 30 female, got married at 18. My husband and I are still together, so I assumed my brother thought we were perfect to ask. My brother asked me what getting married so young was like, as he assumed everything would be exactly the same as it is now, except he'd be married. I told him no, everything changes. I basically told him that being married no matter your age is hard, and even more so when you're young. Every decision you make isn't just about you, but also your spouse. You combine more things such as money, and you sacrifice a lot so you can reach a comfortable compromise. I said, yeah, there are a lot of positives, but being married is a lot different than being engaged or just dating. I said he needed to be prepared, as it was a life commitment, and to only do it if you really think you can make it work. I guess he wasn't expecting my brutal honesty, as all of a sudden, the idea of him and his fiancée getting married was shot down by him. Now, I've got my parents and her family telling me how much of an I am because I'm preventing them from doing what they want to do. Not the butthole, he asked, and you delivered. Getting married at that age is something that shouldn't be rushed into, and it's good you told him straight. It sounds like if that's the parents' reaction, they expected your brother and his girlfriend to rush into a marriage he clearly doesn't want me isn't ready for. Yeah, I'm really wondering why the parents are so keen for their kids to be married so young. Definitely not the butthole. You were honest and gave balanced advice. It sounds like he had a romanticized idea of marriage and you gave him some much needed clarity. Suspect it's religious. Get them married early and keep them away from sin. Religion is the single most destructive force in all of human history. I would say that's humans, not necessarily religion, and this is coming from an atheist. Also an atheist, it's unfair to give religion a pass just because people are also often bad. Religions have been a very powerful force to motivate people to do evil, crusades, terrorist attacks, and to live in ways that cause pain to themselves and others. I agree that religion has been used to propagate a lot of evil, but I believe it's too easy to blame it for all the ills. It's just a cloak of convenience for those that want power and control. It's all down to humans. Who are the ones who, in my opinion, created religion? Given religion is an entirely artificial human construct, this all seems rather academic. It's just another way humans, primarily men, have inflicted damage on humanity and our planet. It kind of seems like you're agreeing with the person above you. If it's just a cloak of convenience for those that want power and control is academic, then so is it's just another way humans, primarily men, have inflicted damage on humanity and our planet. Well, if you look at history, religion is like the best example of how good we can be at creating excuses for doing bad and doing well at our own way. If religion was made by humans, and humans are evil, religion can be evil too. Except one little problem: when you look at which societies are the most violent, all of the most violent nations have one thing in common: a high rate of strong religious belief. And the converse is also true: the most peaceful societies are the least religious. As someone from a very violent country, I still think it's more about lack of access to resources than religion. Poverty and illiteracy is terrible, and it makes people easier to manipulate. If you're dead poor and have no hope for better, you'll be more open to the idea of a better afterlife if you do so and so. It's naive to assume the world would greatly improve without religion. Many atrocities have been committed without it, Stalin for example, and the reality is, there are millions of people that are simply not equipped to deal with the world without it. It's also the only common ground for people to found civilizations on, pushing aside other factors like language, family bonds, etc. The larger the number of people gathering under one common ground, the faster a society develops and the more refined technology, culture and civilized a civilization becomes. Religion is the first common ground for people founding a nation and forming a high civilization. Religion is not the problem. It never was. People are. Religion is a problem because people are the problem. It's naive to think religion is a thing in and of itself that is neutral. By its very nature it isn't neutral because people made it. Religions also motivate people to do incredible good, so you can't really say something is inherently good or bad. It's the people who practice it and the way they interpret what they are supposed to do or act. Yup. It doesn't even have to be religion, Anything at all that rallies a group has the potential to breed an us versus them mindset and create a rabid pack of fanatics. That's purely a human condition. Humans are small group primates that became far more successful than we were really evolved to handle. Us versus them is one of the most fundamental aspects of our psychology, which is why it shows up everywhere throughout our many societies, and for all of human history. Religion and nationality are obviously the most significant/widespread iterations of the practice, and most major conflict throughout our history can be attributed to one or both. As an American atheist, I have to say that religion is in the mix but not really our most serious source of division right now. As a fellow atheist, I can say with almost certainty that the human mind is the greatest weapon of harm in all of existence. It created religion and questioned the world around it. More like it created religion and stopped questioning the world around it. Yeah, I'd have to go with human stupidity/ignorance myself. Humans weaponizing religion is the most destructive force. Also atheist, and I completely agree. Religion is at its heart a way of organizing societies and communities. Which is both good and bad, not because religion is good or bad but because humans are both good and bad. You can use it to rally people to help a neighbor in crisis or to attack a group you consider different. That's not religion's fault. I know lots of people for whom religion is a pure positive, and I'm a little bit jealous that they have this. Also others with lasting issues from pressure to conform and or the need to break away. I'm also jealous of those who have religion and it's a positive for them. My siblings are religious and I've seen how religion makes them feel, and I'm jealous of that. I think humans' desire for power is far more destructive. The deadliest wars in history are mostly unrelated to religion: Three Kingdoms War, Mongol conquests, and Lushan Rebellion, World War II, Ming-Qing Transition, Taiping Rebellion, etc. Communism was pretty deadly as well, considering the 100 million killed by Mao, Stalin, and Pol Pot. If you count wars caused by communism, Vietnam, Korea, it goes up. Imperialism is hard to measure, but Leopold II killed 15 million alone. Disease is huge, but also difficult to measure. The Black Death killed 75 to 200 million people alone. Taiping guy did claim to be Jesus bro if I recall correctly. Not disagreeing with your overall statement. Religion is the most destructive force is a basic take on history. This is the kind of conversation you have when you're high as a college freshman. No one's going to be able to productively disagree with you, because you didn't define your terms. Isn't the realization that you can kill someone and take their stuff encompassing of more destruction? Depends on whether you consider that a force, I guess. And most people wouldn't feel compelled to disagree with you if you just limited your argument to something relevant to the conversation at hand. Religion is a stupid reason to pressure someone to get married before they're ready for that responsibility, instead of making a dramatic statement that is almost impossible to concretely defend. Blank is the single most blank in human history. I'll pass on that bait, thanks. That or I want grandkids if original poster doesn't have them. Where I grew up in the South, everyone got married by 21. It was practically shoved down our throats. Very few of those marriages lasted. So sad. And give them grandkids. I suppose all sin would be eliminated if we eliminated religion. Aside from the straight zombie living in sin. Flavor, I read an interesting hypothesis, can't place the source now I'm afraid. If anyone can find it I'd love to know, not deliberately non-citing, concerning the differences in style between conservative and liberal approaches in broad strokes. Obviously, when it comes to family formation, there is the families make adults position, which essentially posits that having responsibility thrust upon you is what makes you grow up and take said responsibility, which, by implication sometimes explicitly stated, sometimes more felt than understood, makes holders of this view judge people who avoid responsibility as childish and irresponsible. Then there is the adults make families position, which is that major responsibilities, like family formation, are something that you ought to do your best to only walk into prepared, and that avoiding responsibility until such time as you are prepared for it is the responsible and mature thing to do, while doing things that put you at serious risk of incurring responsibilities you aren't already prepared for is the irresponsible and childish thing to do. This situation sounds like a clash between proponents of the two styles, The parents on both sides appeared to want the prospective couple to rush into a stiff hit of responsibility, eyes more or less shut, on the theory that it will make adults out of them, while they, the brother at least, original poster doesn't give us direct access to girlfriend's perspective, appears interested in better understanding the responsibility involved so he can decide whether or not he's ready to take it on rather than being forced to step up or sink by surprise. Thanks for writing out this perspective. It's not exclusively a secular versus religious mindset. My parents had the adults make families position even though they were themselves religious, and we are all from the US South, and my wife and I also shared this perspective. I think you nailed why members of each position passed judgment on the opposing viewpoint. Given the legal and financial fallout from the dissolution of a marriage and family is very severe, in the US, I still lean toward cohabitating with a partner to assess financial, lifestyle, and sexual compatibility as a couple before getting married, but I understand that setting the bar at being financially stable and in established career paths prior to getting married is going to be after ideal fertility years for many people, and that is certainly a con for people wanting children or large families. I would also wager that people who hold the families make adults position would say the single to married life transition is major, while people who hold the adults make families position would say the transition from single to married is much less drastic, more of a title change. This sounds like a really interesting hypothesis. I will definitely have to see if I can read more about this. My husband and I definitely fall into the second category you described, but most of our friends and family would probably be in the first category. I don't think I've ever understood why some people I know are so cavalier about getting married, having kids, etc., whereas they probably don't understand why my husband and I feel the need to be prepared and make sure we're in a good place for those types of big life changes. This is a good way to describe these two life philosophies. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So he's old enough to get married. But he's not old enough to decide. Not to get married? Laughing out loud, not the butthole. My parents' reason was so I could get free college. They made too much money for me to get any help, but not enough to help me. Not the butthole original poster, although I just had a kid instead. You gave the right advice. It was super hard 10 years ago. Okay, can't image how hard now. Not the butthole. He doesn't want to get married so young and was looking for confirmation. At least, that's what I read from his reaction. How has he treated you since? He has been completely fine. He hasn't really been talking about it though. Why are they in such a rush? Is someone pregnant or going off to war? Sometimes people just want to get done. My friend was also 19 when she got married, and she was very pragmatic about it from the get-go. She met a guy, they hashed out everything they wanted from a relationship/marriage, they decided their expectations aligned enough to be compatible, he proposed, they got married. I was dubious about it, but they're still going strong 5 years later, paid off their student loans, own a house, and are in the process of adopting a baby. Definitely not the norm, but I think it's worked out because they both communicate extremely well. We got married at 19 and 20, but we'd been together 3.5 years and living together for 2 years by then. We were young, but we knew what we were about. This year is our 25th wedding anniversary. I get it through. It all seemed very reasonable and logical to us at the time, but now looking at my 20-year-old nephew, it seems so very, very young. No wonder everybody gave us dire predictions and loudly wondered if I was pregnant. Spoiler alert, I wasn't, but it did work for us and I have zero regrets. There have definitely been bumps in the road, but overall we're best friends and a great team. Even after almost a solid year of living in lockdown together. This is the most wholesome Reddit read today. Congratulations on your anniversary. Thank you. I am highly amused that it's our silver anniversary, because I have begun going gray this last year. So I guess that worked out just right. Haha, my mom started going gray when I was little, and I told her, it's not gray, it's silvery. So she now calls her hair silvery. Same here. Wife was 17, I was 20. Been married 33 years this May. Op is right, I wasn't always easy, but it is always worth it. Also, they're not the butthole. Paid off their student loans, own a house, and are in the process of adopting a baby. The F they getting money like that from? He's an engineer and they're like crazy frugal. Everything is budgeted. I wish I was half as financially organized. Edit, baby is being adopted from foster care. Jesus, Seriously. Yep. They both did early college and graduated ahead of everyone. Overachieving dweebs, I'm so freaking proud of them but super jealous. Laughing out loud. As someone who's almost 29 with no house, no marriage, and a good amount of debt still, I am also jealous of your friends, smiley face, but in all seriousness, good for them. Stories like this keep me motivated. Props to them for pursuing adoption. To follow on from a comment above, your friend sounds like Charlotte from Pride and Prejudice, although your friend's marriage appears to be much better than Charlotte's. Haha, time will tell. But fingers crossed hard for them, they're good people. Yeah, I've been with my husband since 19, but we actually married at 25-26. If you're sure, you'll still be sure, and possibly have some funds to put on a wedding, in a few years. Could be a religious thing. Religious couples sometimes get married young because they really want to screw but don't want to sin by doing it outside of marriage. I think you absolutely do the right thing. I wish more people would seek out guidance from married couples that got married young when they too wish to do the same. They need to be aware of the reality of it and understand it's not just playing house and newlywed romance. Marriage can be hard, especially the first year or two. I applaud you for being open and honest with them. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.